Whether she's singing, conducting, or doing both at the same time, Barbara Hannigan is a force to be reckoned with. You're watching Encore, and that's what's coming up on this week's music show. Canadian soprano and conductor Barbara Hannigan is at home in the world's most prestigious venues alongside today's leading orchestras. Fresh from clinching a Classical Grammy for her musical Multitasking, she returns to the Paris Opera for a string of performances in The Human Voice. Barbara Hannigan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. You're back at the Paris Opera, reprising the role of Elle in The Human Voice. It's a one-act opera performed back-to-back with Bluebeard's Castle. Tell us about the story and why they work so well together.
Well, I think, the story of Bluebeard's Castle, which is the first piece in the diptych, as we call it, the story of that is about a man who, we find out later, has a history of quite a few wives, and we're not really sure if they're alive or dead. It's pretty creepy. And at the end of Bluebeard's Castle, I show up on stage in a suit, a really gorgeous suit, man's suit, with a gun. So we know there's been trouble. And La Voix Humaine, or The Human Voice in English, it's sung in French, of course, and it's the text is by Cocteau, and it's a woman's conversation with her lover. And we understand that the relationship is over. It's often done with a telephone, but we do it without a telephone. So it's more like a psychological look at maybe like what I would have said, what I did say, what I wanted to say, what I was holding back. And all these kind of memories and conversations come back. And then finally, I won't give it away. So no spoiler alert.
Yeah, don't give it away.
But it ends pretty intensely.
Yes. Okay, well, let's roll a clip of you in action.
Dans le temps, on se voyait, on pouvait perdre la tête, oublier ses promesses, risquer l'impossible, commettre ce qu'on honorait en les embrassant, en s'accrochant à eux, un regard pouvait changer tout.
Intense is an understatement there, Barbara. Now, opening night takes place this weekend. You've performed on some of the world's top stages, but what is it about the Palais Garnier that is so special?
Oh, well, the ceiling, the Chagall ceiling, the chandeliers. I mean, the whole place is just extraordinary. And for me, I come from this little village, Waverly, Nova Scotia, not very many people. I mean, less people live in my village than work at Paris Opera. I found this out the other day. Yeah, it's extraordinary. So for me, it's just, now I live in Paris, but it's really, it's magical. Walking into the office, which is Palais Garnier, it's extraordinary.
You have to pinch yourself every time
I do.
You look at that beautiful building. Now, you're renowned for performing and championing the music of today's composers. What's the biggest misconception, do you think, about modern opera?
I think it's that that contemporary music or modern music is difficult to listen to. Actually, for me, that's not the case at all. And I think especially for younger people, that's not the case, because I noticed that when we perform for younger audiences, they're more interested in the contemporary music than they are with the more repetitive repertoire like Beethoven and Mozart, which is absolutely beautiful, and I love it. But it repeats and it repeats. And in today's world, the younger people are more like they want shorter moments and shorter sound bites. And so in contemporary music, there's like always something new happening. It's not really repetitive. It's just exciting at every second.
So you're saying it's more perhaps suited to the attention spans of today's youth.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. Now, you're not only a respected opera singer, you're also a conductor. And sometimes you do both at the same time, which I find amazing.
I don't know.
How is that physically possible? I mean, what's the most challenging thing about this musical multitasking?
Well, I think, you know, what we end up with in performance is different than what the orchestra experiences in rehearsal. But in a way, when I'm conducting, I have to be always in my head a little bit ahead of the moment. And when I'm singing, I'm absolutely in the moment. So there's a kind of brain split where I'm multitasking within my brain at the same time. So part of me is a little bit ahead and part of me is exactly in the center of the time. So that's pretty amazing. And I suppose for me, I mean, as a singer, it makes more sense for a singer to conduct than, for example, a pianist or violinist who sometimes will lead and play at the same time, because at least I have my arms free.
Your hands are free.
Yeah, but it's a big job. It's a lot of discipline and a lot of work, and it gives me a great, great joy.
How do you then prepare for when you know you have to do both at the same time? How do you sort of gear up for a performance like that?
Well, kind of like a sports person, really. I'm very, very careful about what I'm eating. I try to get as much sleep as I can. I time exactly when I'm going to eat and what I will eat before performances. Really, really like an athlete.
And I'm meticulous.
Yeah. And I do work with a coach who also works with Olympic athletes, you know, really for a long time in preparation for all my performances, whether I'm singing or conducting or both.
Okay. Now, your album, Crazy Girl Crazy, recently won a Grammy Award for Best Classical Solo Vocal. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
And it's the first showcase of your work as both a soprano and a conductor.
Yeah.
This is some uncharted territory. Do you see yourself as a trailblazer?
Well, I suppose that's what's happened. I mean, when I'm doing my work, I don't think, oh, I want to break a trail or I want to do something that nobody else has done. That's not how I work. I just do what feels natural to me or important for me to explore. But indeed, I think maybe it's the Canadian pioneer spirit that exists in me that has made it possible for me to just do these things and take these risks and not to analyze it too much in advance and then later look back and say, wow, okay, so the album was for Best Classical Vocal Album, but by the way, the girl also conducted, you know, which is crazy.
Well, crazy, but the gamble paid off, obviously. Right, it's time now for a quick spin through the week's music news. After dabbling in reggae, funk and disco on previous albums, Snoop Dogg takes fans in a new musical direction. The West Coast hip-hop legend releasing his first gospel record titled Bible of Love. Snoop says the 32-track double disc was a long-time goal, but that he was, quote, too busy being gangster. Take a listen to the rapper get spiritual on Words of You featuring B. Slade.
Gon' hear from the Lord if I speak. So back off and let me in. Let me face. I'm not mad at you. Things I'm going through. Make me act a fool. I start thinking wrong. Then I'm wrong. There is nothing you can do. Hey, when my words are few, things ain't what they seem. Feeling like I'm fooling me. I know God is calling me. I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Well, you were moving to the beat off air there, and did you like that?
I did like it, actually. I mean, of course, I know who Snoop Dogg is, and he used to have a different name. I do remember that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I love all kinds of music.
So what other sort of contemporary pop artists do you listen to?
Well, it's interesting because my colleague, the guy that's singing in Bluebeard's Castle, he's also Canadian, and he was telling me about this Kendrick Lamar album that he's so crazy about, and he said...
Kendrick Lamar is amazing.
Right. And so every day when he's coming to work, he's listening to Kendrick Lamar. And for me, I always make a playlist of kind of more popular music as I'm heading into the opera, just to kind of get me into the zone of the characters. So all kinds of music.
I love the idea of that. This lead singer in an opera listening to Kendrick Lamar on the way to a show. That's fantastic. Right. In other new releases, Meshell Ndegeocello is unveiling a collection of cover songs with a repertoire taken from the likes of Prince, Sade, Tina Turner, and George Clinton. The neo-soul pioneer has given the tracks new life, her unconventional arrangements transforming breezy radio jams into fresh works of art that make up ventriloquism. Here's her version of the 1995 TLC hit Waterfalls.
Stick to the rivers and the lakes that
And with New Orleans celebrating 300 years since the city was founded, local legends the Hot 8 Brass Band are dropping a new single and video. Get Up is a party-ready groove, a musical gumbo of hip-hop, funk, jazz and traditional Big Easy brass. We'll leave you with a clip. Once again, thank you very much to our guest, Barbara Hannigan. Remember, she's performing The Human Voice at the Paris Opera until the 11th of April. Catch up with past music shows on our website and stay in touch on social media. Keep it right here on France 24.
Man, please, and here will finish those tops to OG. We on hot, baby. We on top, baby. Feel the heat soon as we step out on the block, baby. Traveling around the world, no doubt. 96 hit the Cali, we take it to the house. Ran the streets, Rose Avenue, Lee Street from the 17th all the way to the St. T.I. Put up a 9 for De Niro and Joe. Now, throw up a trade, that's for Jake for sure. Now, hold up an 8 when I'm repping the flame, and I ain't doing nothing but representing my name. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. It's about to go down.